I've played guitar for more than 40 years. Today I'm going to show you how to play the Pure Prairie League's classic country rock hit from 1975, Amie.
You think you belong to me. I never tried to make you think or let you see one thing for yourself. But now you're off with someone else and I'm alone. You see, I thought that I might keep you for my own. Amie, what you wanna do? I think I could stay with you for a while, maybe longer if I do. Don't you think the time is right?
Good morning and thanks for stopping by to play some guitar with us here on the couch. Thanks also to Logan, a Christian brother and friend, for today's song suggestion, and boy did he pick a good one for you today. Amie was a song on the Pure Prairie League's second album, Bustin' Out, from 1972. 3 years later, in 1975, the band was on the brink of extinction, but due to the relentless tour schedule, Amie became a major grassroots college radio hit. That prompted RCA to re-sign the band after having dropped them. Stay with us after the lesson. We'll talk more about the band, the song, and a whole lot more. For now, let's jump right in and learn that tasty bluegrass intro riff. Our song today is in standard tuning. It starts out with this little opening. That's going to play throughout the opening while the other guitar is playing the opening solo. What I'm doing is I'm playing the 7th fret of the D string, and then I have my ring finger on the 9th fret of the G. Pinky is on the 10th fret of the B. I'm playing the D string alone, and then I'm playing the G and the B together. If that's hard for you to get up there, you could also play it down here. You could do index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and then play the B and the E at 5. A little sharper there though. I think this sounds more like the record. I've also seen some guys teach it where you stretch out here and you also put your pinky on the 12th fret of the E string. I think that's a little much. That sounds perfect to me with the record. Then we go into this intro solo. The first lick of it starts like this. So that is a hammer-on from 2 to 4 on the D string. 2 times on the 2nd fret of the G. Then we're going to pull off from the 4th fret to the 2nd fret of the G. Then we're going to slide up from 4 to 6. And there's a little bit of a pause in there too. It's not like a super quick slide that sounds like one note. Definitely sounds like 2 notes. When you get there at the 6th fret, you're going to go to the B string, and we're going to go 5, 7, 5. And then back to 6 on the G, 4 on the G, 2 on the G. The next one starts out the same. It's a little shorter. So the same hammer on 2 to 4 on the D, 2 times at 2 on the G. Same pull off 4 to 2 on the G. Now we're going to slide 4 to 6 on the G, and then we're going to come back to 4 for 2. Third lick of the solo is this. And then that takes us into the, which we'll talk about also. But that lick starts out the same. It's the hammer on from 2 to 4 on the D, 2 on the G at the 2nd fret. We're going to slide 4 to 6 on the G, 5 to 7 on the B. When we get to 7 on the B, we're going to alternate between 5 on the E and 7 on the B 3 times. Going back to 5 on the B, 7 on the B, 5 on the B. So that whole thing kind of fast. Slower. Once you get to that 5, there's a pause there. It like skips a beat. It's a definite pause. When it picks back up, you're going to play 5 on the B 3 times. And then we're going to go 7, 5, 7, which is backwards from what we just did on the B. When you get there, we're going to drop down to the G string and we're going to go 6, 4, 2. I've seen a lot of guys here saying that we need to go to the 4th fret now of the D. I don't think so. I think it goes right to the open A. And then we play the A chord, which I have barred at 3 there. So however you want to play that. I usually just bar the 2nd fret to play my A's. I just don't play the high E string because that would be not right. So the chords we're going to need to finish out this intro is that A chord there. We're going to need a G5 chord. So instead of an actual whole G, we're just playing the power chord version, which would be more like that. So I'm holding the 3rd fret of the E string. With the pad of my finger, I'm blocking this A string so it doesn't sound. The other strings are open except for the 3rd fret of the B. So, and that's a little chukka there, so a little palm muted, down, up, and then you hit it on the down, and then we're going to go to the D. We're going to play the open D string, and then the D chord. So I think that changes too as he plays it differently in the song. It's always the open A string and then the A chord. And then sometimes I think it's just the G note there on 3 and our G5, and then when we go to the D, then we have the down, up, down. I think he alternates between the G and the D when he does that. See that? Or sometimes it's... And that's going to lead us into the first verse, and we'll talk about that right after this. BB and I very much appreciate your time and support. If you like what we're doing, I'll ask that you give us a thumbs up down below and subscribe to our channel if you've not done that yet. Likes and shares also help our little channel to grow. If you'd care to leave us a tip in any amount, there is a link in the description to our Buy Me a Coffee page, which is like a hassle-free digital tip jar. I'll also post affiliate links there if you could use a new set of strings or if you're interested in any of the gear that we use here on the couch. Thanks again very much for your time and your support. Let's jump right back into our lesson. So coming out of that intro, we're going to go right into our chorus. And if you remember the tail of the intro, we had the... Right, we had that going on. So that same progression, the A to the G to the D, we're going to continue that 3 more times, but we're going to change up the pattern of it a little bit. It's going to be... So it becomes much more of a strum thing. On the A, we're going to go down, down, either down, up, or up, down. That's the way I do it. I do down, down, up, down. My first one is on the A note, and then the chord. and then an up, down, and I go to the G. It's just a down, down, a down on the G note, a down on the chord, and then we go to the D. Same thing, a down on the D string and then a down on the chord. So that's how the chorus goes. We go through that pattern there 3 times, and then it goes into the pre-chorus. And the way that happens, when we're on the A, which is the first one, it's going to do it 2 times. So instead of going to the G, we're going to stay on that A. So we do the down, down, up, down 2 times. Then we go to a D, and we're going to do it 2 times. Then we're going to go to a C. Back to the D. Back to a C. Then we're going to go to an E. We're going to play that E 4 times, and that's going to take us into our actual chorus. We're going to start that by hitting the A note and then the A chord. And then we're going to do the down, up, downs 2 times. Then we're going to do a G, and we're going to do the whole down, up, down. And then the D. So as opposed to the chorus where we're just going, this is much more robust, and we're doing the full strum pattern on each one. It's just that it's twice on the A. Now, after we've gone through that cycle right there 2 times, we're going to go to a B minor, and then to an E. 2 times. 2 times on the B minor, 2 times on the E, and then we go back into the tail of the intro riff. Then we're going to start back into our second verse, which is going to be just like the first verse. We're going to do the second verse, another pre-chorus, another chorus, and after that chorus, we go back into the tail again. And it starts, one guitar starts playing the verse again, just like the verse. The other guitar starts the main acoustic solo, and that's what we'll talk about next. Our main acoustic solo starts out like this. That is hammer on 2 to 4 on the D, 3 hits at 2 on the G, slide 4 to 6 on the G, 2 times at 5 on the B. Then we're going to go 4 to 6 on the G again, 5 on the B, and then 6, 4, 2 on the G. And then 4 on the D, back to 2 on the G. And then we're going to go 2, 4, 2, 4's on the D, 2's on the G. And then 5, 4, 2 on the G. And we're going to come to rest at 4 on the D. So that whole piece again. The next lick is this. That is a hammer-on from 3 to 4 on the A string. And then we're going to go 2 to 4, playing on both on the D string 3 times. And then back to 5, 4, 2 on the G. So again, I do hit that A string at 2 one last time before I go the 5, 4, 2. Oops. Then we're going to do this. So that's a slide from 4 to 6 on the G. And then my index finger is, I'm doing the slide with my middle finger. My index finger is at 5 on the B, and I'm going to go back and forth between the G and the B real fast. And then I slide up to 9 on the G and 8 on the B, and I do it again. The next lick is this. So that is a hammer-on the D from 2 to 4. Same thing on the G, but you go back to the 2. Pull back off to the 2. Then I'm going to slide from 4 to 5 on the G. And then it's 2, 4, 2. So after you slide to 5, you come back to the 4, and then 2, 4, 2. Next lick is this. That is 3 on the A twice, and then 1, 2 on the D. Open on the G twice. 2 to open on the G. 3 twice on 2, and then open on the G. Next lick is this. That is hammer on 3 to 4 on the D. Hammer on, pull off 2 to 4, back to 2 on the G. You can pull off both times, 5 to 2 on the G. So, and then we have, that's a pull off, and it doesn't matter if you pull off or slide, I guess. Just kind of how and whatever feels comfortable to you. So that's a pull off from 5 to 4 to 2 on the G, and then 3 on the D, 3 on the B. So that's kind of a tricky little, might be better to slide. Slide from 5 to 4 on the G, then pull off to 2, and then 3 on the D and 3 on the B strings. Then we go back to, so that's 1 time at 3 on the A, 1, 2 on the D, open twice on the G string, 2 to open on the G, 3, 2 open on the G, then we have this. So hammer on 3 to 4 on the D, 2 on the G, back and forth between 2 on the G, 4 on the D, and then 2, 2 by itself, slide 4 to 6 on the G, back to 4, and you play it twice. And then slide 4 to 6 on the G, and then 5 on the B, 6 on the G, 7 on the B string, and then bend up 7 on the E, come back to 5 on the E, back to 7 on the B. And then we go back to, but you're only going to do it 1 time, and from there you're going to go right into the verse. You'll do a full regular verse, regular pre-chorus, and then you're going to do the chorus, but the chorus you're going to go 2 times. You're going to go all the way through it 2 times, And then the song ends with the little falling in and out of love with you section, and that's a little finger style section almost. Goes something like this. So I'm going to go through that 3 complete times, I think. What I'm doing is I've got basically 7 barred from 4 down. I've got my ring finger on 9 of the G string. My pinky is on 10 of the B. So those are the notes that I'm really concerned with. And I'm going to be playing this A string open. So because I was already playing with a pick, I'm going to keep the pick in my hand. I'm going to do a combination of picking and plucking with my finger. So I pick down on 5, I pluck up on 3, pick down on 4, pluck up on 2. And then we have 4 and 3 again at the end. I do that twice. And then I take the pinky off and I go with my ring finger on the B string to the 8th fret. Same pattern. And then I just go to all 7, same pattern. Back to this shape. Same thing. I do that whole thing, I think it's 3 times. It's as long as he's singing. Right at the end, after he stops singing, he goes to this A minor shape. So on the B string, I'm at fret 6 with my index finger, and then I've got 7 covered. The D and G strings on with my middle and ring fingers. Then I'm going to take these 2 fingers and I'm going to move them left 1 fret. I'm keeping my ring finger at 7. My middle finger is going to 6. My index finger is going to 5. Same pattern. Then I'm going to go to this shape. So just 2 fingers now. 7th fret of the D string, 6th fret of the G string. I'm going to pick down, arpeggiate. So that's 5, 4, 3, 2, 3. And then 1 strum down. So again, the first pattern. Do that until the singing stops. Then we go to this A minor shape. Then to this shape. Each of those twice, and then this. And that's the end of the song. What a great song. A lot of interesting guitar parts, a lot of different and diverse guitar parts. So I also wanted to talk about these little lead fills. So I'm not going to show you all the lead fills note for note, but just kind of give you an idea of where they're at. Because they're played on electric guitar, so if you're playing through the whole song on one guitar, it's kind of hard to do the main acoustic and also the electric parts. But they're basically right here. So I'm kind of hybrid picking that too, kind of that same way. So I'm really plucking the B string and the D string. I'm plucking it, I'm barring the 9th fret, and then I'm coming down on the B string at 10 and then 11 on the D string. And then I go down a step and I do the hammer on, and then I play it again without the fingers down but just the bar. So you have a lot of that. You could also do it there, just the top 3 strings. So I'm barring 9, coming down on 10, and then going down a step and doing the same thing. That's really kind of the same thing. It's just a different string involved there. Another one that you hear a lot is this. So just sliding back and forth between, it's a slide up from 6 to 7, and then a down up. And then you do the same thing between 8 and 9. I think that's in the chorus, like right before you go back to the... there are several, this basic shape and open, and down here. So between 7 and 9, that's where most of those lead fills fall. And there's a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs, so might sound like that. Some of them are like a hammer-on from 7 to 9 on the D string, and then we play the G string, and then we pull off from 8 to 7 on the B. Some of them are, you know, just like that, just like one hammer on, then we shift down, and then we play the same thing over again. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching. Pure Prairie League has been a name in country rock music since its inception in 1970. Originally started by a group of high school friends in small town south central Ohio. Pure Prairie League is more of an institution than a band, really. They've had 38 different band members over their active years, and no single member has been with the band for its entire existence. There was a 10-year hiatus between 1988 and 1998, which makes that number of band members even more impressive. Vince Gill is the band's most famous member, having served from 1978 to 1982. Gill credits his time in the band for landing him his current spot in the Eagles. He stated that his selection to replace Glenn Frey was specifically due to his experience in Pure Prairie League and their similar musical style to the Eagles. Gill is maybe best known for his time in the band as the voice that we hear in the 1979 hit, Let Me Love You Tonight. Love you. Pure Prairie League achieved a string of 6 consecutive top 40 albums in the 70s and 80s. Amie, their biggest and first hit, was written by the band's original leader and songwriter Craig Fuller, who sang and played guitar in the band during 4 different distinct periods. The band recorded 15 albums over their 46 active years, the most recent being 2024's Back on Track. Each album cover from the very first has featured a lovable Norman Rockwell cowboy character named Sad Luke, who became a mascot of sorts for the band. The name Pure Prairie League was picked by the band's first drummer, Tom McGrail, who took it after a fictional 19th century temperance union from the most popular film of 1939, Dodge City. Now, if you're still listening and you're anything like me, you might be asking, what's a temperance union? If you're of the Christian faith, the word temperance should also have special meaning for you. Temperance unions, or leagues as they were also known, were organizations that advocated for laws restricting alcohol sales in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Their efforts were at least partially responsible for the national prohibition on alcohol in the 1920s and early 30s. The word temperance strikes me as somewhat contrary to prohibition because it actually means self-control as opposed to government control. The reason it should stand out to Christians is because temperance is a fruit of the Spirit, along with love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, and meekness. Jesus spoke a lot, metaphorically, about trees and fruit. He taught that good trees don't produce bad fruit, and that bad trees don't produce good fruit, and that every tree is known by his own fruit. In his letter to the church at Galatia, Paul talks about the fruit of the Spirit being contrary to the works of the flesh. A person who has been born again of the Spirit has the Spirit of God living within them. If you have the Spirit of God living in you, you should be able to see the fruit of God's Spirit in your life, and others should be able to see it as well. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance or self-control will be characteristics or traits evident in your day-to-day life. And these traits are contrary or opposed to the works of the flesh. Things like adultery, lasciviousness, lewdness, hatred, anger, strife, envy, drunkenness, reveling. Unfortunately, all of those things used to describe me. For nearly the first 50 years of my life, I did things my way. My way was feeding my flesh, and I nearly drowned myself in alcohol in the process. I didn't have any temperance at all, you might say. Then one night, I saw a video on YouTube, kind of like this one, but different. And in it, a guy kind of like me, but different, encouraged me to stop fighting, to stop chasing, to surrender. That night, I got on my knees and I asked the Lord Jesus with all sincerity in my heart to forgive my sin and to save me, and He did. The bad news, you see, is that we've all sinned and come short of the glory of God. The bad news is that none of us are righteous on our own, not one. The bad news is that the wages of sin is death. But the good news is that the gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. The good news is that if you confess the Lord Jesus with your mouth and you believe in your heart that God raised Him from the dead, you will be saved. Maybe you're like I was that night and you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. Maybe some love, joy, peace, and even some temperance sounds pretty good to you right now. As I do every single week, I'd encourage you to pick Jesus. I'd encourage you to seek Him out with all of your heart. His word says, "Behold, I stand at the door knocking. If any man hears my voice and opens the door, I'll come in and dine with him and he with me." Thanks again for being here. I really do appreciate your time and your support, and I really do hope to see you back again soon, right here on the couch.